Streaming is on.
Hello, Ram. How are you doing?
Hi there. Are you already 20 minutes? 30 minutes is the meeting?
No, I was online, but the meeting hasn't started yet.
Oh, okay. Excellent. How are you doing?
I'm very good, and you?
I can't see myself.
Hmm.
How can I see myself? Just let's see. Sorry.
No problem.
I'm trying to see myself. Yes, here I am. Okay. Yeah. Today I have a new look here. Are we waiting for somebody else?
Jens is also joining us, but apart from that, unfortunately, no one confirmed.
Yes.
presence.
Yes. Okay. And are we still recording the meeting?
Yes, we are recording. Just a moment. Yeah. So today, I'm also streaming on YouTube. So maybe if people see it last minute, I shared on some Facebook pages.
Oh, that's great.
And they didn't read the essay, but they still want to participate or just check out what we're doing. Then they can see, and then it will also be recorded afterwards on YouTube.
Excellent. Okay. Yes.
We have a new member. I could only get one new member, but I exchanged emails and I shared all the platforms that we are using, and I still don't know if this person is going to join our meetings as well, or if she just want to have access to our files. But I'll come up with some news next week.
Okay. Excellent. Just one question about last meeting. I didn't see the video yet, but I remember I entered it on the middle. But I remember you mentioned that you would like to say some words about some works that you saw by me. Did you do it eventually, or?
I did. It's on the. Hello, Jens.
Hi.
It's there. It's in the recording of our last video. I mentioned some artists, and also I got the link to a video that I think maybe could be relevant for your work. It's a performance.
Excellent. Okay, so it's all in the beginning of the meeting.
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
No problem.
Okay.
Hello, Jens. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Had a busy week. Almost read the entire essay, but not the entire essay.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
Thanks for your honesty.
And I had, but when I was reading it, and also when I saw the two pieces that the essay is talking about, I had more connection with the one of Rebecca than the other one.
Okay.
Personally.
The sound. The sound wave.
Yeah.
I have to admit also, I didn't get the chance to read all of it. I just read the first part of it, but I saw the two. I will going to read the whole thing, hopefully, but I saw the two installations, and found yes, sound space of Rebecca's piece and share it with you also.
Yes, and thank you very much, because I couldn't find it on the text. It was a question that I had that I couldn't find in the text. Maybe I'll have to read it again as well. That it wasn't clear for me which kind of sounds the Rebecca's installation had. So it was very good that you shared the link.
Excellent.
Also, Jens, we are streaming on YouTube.
Nice.
Since last week, like, not. I'm sorry. Let me just mute WhatsApp. No one confirmed its presence, so even though we put a little bit more effort to share the stuff, like we don't have any new people. One is prepped for the shared material, so I'm going to invite her to join our videos as well. And the streaming is also like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I just saw the post right now, and I'm curious to check it out, but I haven't the text or anything. So if people still want to just watch. And today's meeting, so for those who don't know, today's meeting we are going to discuss an essay. It's called Listening to Indigenous Knowledge of the Land and Two Contemporary Sound Art Installations. And it was written by Kate Galloway. And Kate Galloway is a faculty member at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Her research and teaching address sonic responses to environmentalism, radio, indigenous musical modernities, and traditional ecological knowledge, sound studies, science and technology studies, new media, and digital humanities. So it's an essay who analyzed two different works from two different Canadian indigenous artists. And I think we can start about our impressions. Over the.
Well, I had a question. Emanuela, you read it completely?
Yes.
All right. So when you read like the part from the wave sound of Rebecca and the part of what's her name again? Of Nagams.
Yeah.
Nagam. Our future is a land. What were for you like the biggest differences in concept between the two pieces?
That's a very good question. I think like the first one, like the Rebecca one, the Soundwave one, it reminds me a lot of land art. You guys know what land art is? Yeah, like the movement in the 50s and 60s who refused to this commercial way of doing art. And I think it really fits in this concept. Plus the political will to make indigenous lives or culture and history present in the place that they firstly belonged again. I think that first it's more like an installation in the sense that like the artwork belongs to the space and it's a natural landscape, and the landscape also belongs to the artwork and people as well. So I can see this concept of humanity don't own the world, but the world contains humanity.
Yeah.
And I think that in the text there's a lot of this mindset of it's not because we're humans that we're superior to non-human life,
Mhm.
not only life but not not human elements. And the other one seemed to me more like trying to bring the outside world and the nature and the story as a tale in the gallery space.
Mhm.
It was more like trying to make a story out of it. It really reminded me like a book's illustration or a tale for kids with magical
Yeah.
things that goes in the course. And I think in my perception, which is limited as well, but it might have a lot to do with the oral tradition and indigenous culture, like all of their culture beliefs and yeah, basically their language is all orally. So also this thing like that history starts when written starts as well, but like we don't have this some part of history is lacking because we didn't have
Mhm.
a written version of the story.
Just to think, sorry, before we continuing, Emanuela, there is a weird sound from some kind of like an echo, and it's kind of like when you're talking, it's kind of like the camera is moving in some way.
Oh yeah, it's because
So
of
it's a little bit, yeah. It's
let me try to
if you can stabilize it,
okay.
the sound will disappear also.
Is that better? Is that better?
It is better. Yeah, it is better. There is a sound ocean still on the background. I don't know why, but whatever. We are in the art sound out, so we'll
Yeah.
take. And if I can interrupt Jean for a minute, and because Emanuela, you read the whole essay. Maybe as before we'll talk about those works. Maybe if you can summarize for us in like few words, like what's the main subject that the author is referring in discussing about those two pieces and confronting them, because it's quite obvious that she's taking two pieces from a different scale. So one is in the gallery space and one is in nature, and so if you can maybe just clear for us the main subject that she's dealing with there in the essay, please.
Okay, so she's a person who experienced both installations herself, and she created a method. So she interviewed some other participants of the installations to make this analysis. Um, and she brings up um, lots of themes, such as how
The relationship between humans and non-human in nature. That's what I when you read the abstract and the intro and yeah, throughout the whole piece, I think that's like the main idea that she wants to convey about the two pieces.
and also the political aspect.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So there's a lot like because both galleries and the national parks in Canada, she claims that they're very colonial places because
Yeah.
the national parks in Canada, like there were indigenous people living there, native people living there, and then they colonize the whole place, and then they created a park again, but as a tourism tool, and like silencing all the indigenous presence that was there before. Oh my god, my English is so bad today. I think it's I'm nervous because we're streaming. We have 2 viewers, by the way. I don't know who they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I wish they would interact. So if you're listening to this, please interact. Yeah, how healthy and unhealthy this relationship is with human and non-human elements, and also
about the political aspect that you are referring to. For me, that was very difficult to understand because I don't know the culture in Canada. I'm not from Canada, so for me it was very difficult. I mean, I have a certain idea of how the colonizations were, but I because I don't live there and I have never been there. For me, it was difficult to understand how active that political issue still is in those regions.
Yeah, I know that. Is it Rebecca? Or is it... Yeah, Rebecca is a member of the Latsu First Nation. It's a First Nation band government located in the southeastern shores of Latsu. So there's like a governmental organization that she's part of. I also had the impression, because I come from Brazil and we're also colonized, and I was very my mindset about colonized countries was like, oh, colonized countries are necessarily poor and they still suffer from it, because in lots of our discussions about racism and silencing indigenous people, it has to do with social issues that remains today, like differences in the salary and the authority, not only authority but abuse of authority around those, how to say, around people that don't live in decent conditions because they descend from people who were brought as slaves to Brazil and stuff. But what there is in common between the 2 aspects of colonization between Brazil and Canada, for instance, that I noticed from this text, because I had never heard before about indigenous people in Canada. I thought that they only existed in the United States. So
yeah,
I learned a lot. Like, of course, they're everywhere, right?
yeah.
But I just never heard about them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, for instance, there are some Brazilian artists as Rafael RG, for instance, and I forgot the other one, but if I remember, I'll tell you afterwards. But like, black people in Brazil don't know where their ancestors came from Africa because they were so violently taken from their home country that they don't even know which country they actually came from. So, like, the language disappearing, the territory conflicts, like government or private institutions taking indigenous lands and using it to their own profit. This is like common to both countries.
Well, if I can say something, just to follow it, I lived in Canada for more than 6 years and did my master there, and I have to say that it's really interesting to follow the art scene there, or to as because it's a little bit outside of the center, it's there is something really interesting that going on there. And I think following those artists, you can understand that the relationship to nature and to politics is quite a unique thing that relates to Canadian artists, not just, but particularly those two artists. Yeah, if we can, if maybe we can talk a little bit about the choice of taking those two artists that are working with the sound installation, and maybe talk about the component of sound in this. Maybe can I ask if it's okay to maybe to show like a short video from both artists, so if people following us, they can experience in a glimpse those two works, please.
Yes, I'm going to do
Okay.
So first I'm going to show Julie Nagam's artwork.
Which is an installation that combines animation and
And about the other one, I think there's no video about the Rebecca's artwork, only the audio that she sent.
Yeah, it's only the audio. I think you can.
you can
Going to
go on the link and just let us hear the sounds maybe with the visual.
yeah, I'm going to share the screen. This is the author. Okay, yes, fine.
Sorry.
So it's just like this code that amplifies the sound of the landscape, and people would have to place their ear on one side to be able to listen to yeah to the soundscape, and that's the sound.
Yeah, so the sound is not really coming through ideally, but
But it's kind of like an abstract sound of wind that
yeah,
blowing.
wind, and also water that is going against the rocks, and some birds.
Actually, when I'm hearing and looking at this piece right now, if I can just make a mark, it reminds me in a way a piece of like it's kind of like relates to a piece of that James Turrell did. Do you know James Turrell? James Turrell, he's kind of like an land installation artist, and he built. There is one piece by him that he built. Kind of like a window to the sky. So you coming into this space, you enter it, and what it has the only thing it has is just like a roof that's shaped like a window, and you can see the sky that he framed for you, and kind of like it's make it. Kind of like into a picture, and it's really interesting because what she's doing there is more or less something really similar, but with sound. So she framing for you the sound, and that makes you more concentrate on something that is already there, but going through a machine, going through a construction, sharpen your senses to the things that the artist want to show you and tell you.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the artist is actually making you listening to the lake or the sounds of the nature in surrounding the lake, which I found very clear. And I like that in some in artworks when it's pretty clear what it wants to do. And that's one thing I really adore about the Rebecca one, because the story behind it is actually when once you hear it, it creates more like a conversation with people about what did you hear, and what are the certain aspects that you heard in the installation, which I find very calming and peaceful.
Can I ask for your opinion about the other piece by Julie? Julie, her name?
Yeah.
And maybe ask you, why did you think that she the sound that she chose to put to those visuals of the appearing and disappearing woods are a sound of maybe it for me it sounds like a domestic conversation of family, or like an indoor discussion between people and children. So my question is, why did you think she combined those two together?
Very good question. Well, first of all, the installation of Nagam. Do I say this correctly? I'm sorry if I pronounce it very wrong, but Nagam, whatever. What Emanuela said, I found very interesting. That you told that it reminds you of like indigenous people telling stories to each other, and of like the story aspect of it, because the visuals are very well chosen in my opinion, because they're almost like cartoon, not cartoonish, but like it could be in a children's book.
Straight.
And that's something I found very cool in her work. But they are trying. So the link between the two works they're very different installation wise. Like the one is very much made for in a gallery, and I don't know. I think because I did not see it in the gallery itself, it's also not really good representation of what I say of the work as well for the other one. But I kind of like when there's more an interaction in with the surrounding itself. But to answer your question of what were talking about, like
your impression, because we didn't see.
We didn't see it in person, so that's one thing why it's very difficult to answer that.
And it may be like just one piece of the whole installation.
True.
The duration of the installation.
True. Yeah, for me, the thing once I saw it, the thing that caught my eye was what Emanuela also said, was it was like that you're like on a camping trip, and somebody is telling you a story, and the images and the sounds of the story are shown in the room. That's what I was thinking when I saw it.
Again, can you say it again? I didn't understand it clear.
That for me, when I saw the piece of Nagam, for me it was like what Emanuela also said. It's like when it felt like when you were on a camping trip with friends or whatever, and somebody was telling a story about the camping where you were camping, and it's like a scary story, and those were the visuals and sounds that helped bring the story to the listener.
Yeah.
So for me it felt a little bit like that.
In terms of the sound component in these two works, it's not like it's quite straightforward, right? It's not that much sophisticated in terms of using the sound. Am I right, or are you not agreeing?
I think that the sounds are not really. I agree with.
I think it's less musical, but using sound as a presence and using sound to recall. To once again recall the presence that was once erased. And also she writes something really interesting that I was trying to find here. I wanted to read. It's like listening to wave sound also operates as a first pause, a moment of rest, and an opening for sensory reflection. If, our, if participants if participants choose to stop, explore, and listen, they are removing themselves from their original Eurocentric recreation or conservation-driven reason for visiting the park in the first place, and entering into Baltimore's indigenous listening space. So it's like more to transform this relationship that we have to sound itself, and trying to, from what I understood, to put you in an indigenous way to deal with the sounds, to deal with the environment that you're in. I think it's also nice to point out that her installation was forged with materials from the place, so I think that it means a lot symbolically. What I don't know, like I see a lot of power, um, of political power about it. This, like the fact that she is an indigenous person who created this installation and
She is an indigenous person, or
she is a Canadian person. Both of them are. Both of the artists are. But I don't know, like, if how clear this is to people. Like, I don't know if it matters in the end, but to reflect and be aware of the political part involved in the artwork itself, just by hearing the sounds. This is why I wonder, like, is this a work that needs mediation to maybe amplify this important part, this important political part of it? Something I ask myself, and it's something that it doesn't need to have an answer, but I just question myself, like, what else I wanted to. Yeah, I think that also, like, the way that we were taught to deal with time, to deal with reality, and that includes sounds, is very Eurocentric in general, and I think that's very that what both of the artists are trying to make different. Um, like that by putting it all together and making it as immersive and circular as possible. There's a very interesting definition of time in Fisher's book about the circular time, about like not being linear, but every happening giving meaning to the other happening. Like, it's not because it's. I'm gonna quote this later. I'm gonna put it in our reading list because I don't know it by memory. But it's, instead of just like thinking it linear, like it's because the sun shines, gives a reason to the chicken to make noise, and people to wake up, and it all comes back.
Not really having words where they say, "Oh, next week" or "tomorrow," or where it's more like, okay, this, the circular circular. I'm trying to. Damn, my English is bad today. The can you help me with the word where you just where you
circular perception of time?
Yeah,
circular
thank you. Wow.
Time,
yeah, the circular perception of time, that that it's something that we are not really used to anymore, where indigenous groups, or some of them, their whole, like, also not only culture but language is based on the perception of time, which I found also very interesting. But that's something else.
Okay. You want to say something, Dom?
No. I wish I read more the article. Sorry that I didn't have time, but didn't have time. But anything else regarding to the article that you want to put a spot on? I really think like just by looking at those two works, it's opened up my mind to many subjects and reminded me other things that other works of art that I saw in Canada, which are really very connected to nature. And this is one of the things that I always say when I am talking about my experience with Canada. I always saying that for me it was kind of like a healing place to be in, and in many ways. And I won't explain now because it's not about me. But I think that those two artists also talking about this subject in a way of listening and taking care about things that are happening right now, and I tried to follow and when I searched for the Rebecca wave sounds piece, I bumped into I bumped into the Art Gallery of Ontario website, and there was something really interesting that they put on there, and they quoted James Baldwin, and the quote was, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." So I found it really relevant and connected with the pieces that got me into this sentence. So yeah, so you have to see or to face things in order to start things, and this is kind of like what those artists are trying to do, like to show you to focus you on something so you can start think about those subjects that they are dealing with politically and visually, I guess.
I want to point out one last thing because of what you say right now. That the author says that those works about the climate change, because they indirectly refers to climate change as well, and she said, like their work is more meditative because indigenous people of what are now known as the Americans have dealt with the escalation of the forces of environmental change that have displaced their communities and non-human kin and inflicted violence upon their traditional ancestral land since the time of first contact. So, like, the climate change is not news for indigenous people. It happened since, like, conflict started between them and colonizers. So I thought it was very interesting, this approach that the author brings, that finding a solution can be more meditative. Meditative. I don't know how to pronounce this correctly.
Mhm.
It's also a way to approach. I don't know if I agree though, because like that all indigenous people does it that way. Because I've seen artworks from people in Brazil that it was more like a report kind of artwork. Like they literally recorded their tribes in their homes being suffering direct violence from the police, and then like women screaming and children crying in the background and people being harmed. And that was her artwork, and it's not meditative at all. It's very straightforward. Um, but I think that it's cool to to research different kinds of sound arts and political sound arts and indigenous sound arts, more specifically to open or repertoire. And the question is now, since we're almost like finishing, we also have to start planning our assignments. And based on this assignment from today, like what do we want to focus more? Is this kind of discussions, or I feel the need to go more into musical discussions because it's something that I lack of a little bit. And I think that this could be interesting, like by getting more musical knowledge, since we are all, I think Jens so much, but me and I'm more from the visual art scenes, and maybe having more comprehension of musical discussions, specifically in the contemporary scene, could be very helpful to us.
Yeah, I agree. Though I must say that I really like this component of, though I did not read this time, but I tried as much as I can. But I do like the frame of reading an essay once a week and then discuss about it. It doesn't have to be like for 1.5 hours. It can be like for a half hour. But I think that it's something that is really, for me, as somebody that's not reading that much, especially about sound art, it was interesting. Maybe there are some other work of art that will be more relevant for me to read about. But I kind of like this format, and as yeah, that's all I think.
Because, for instance, I was curious, like, what indigenous people are producing regarding to music. But, like, is this a very limited way of thinking? Because maybe they don't even split the musical part, the ritualistic part, and their tradition part, and their language, their, like, daily life. Maybe it's all mixed together because this Cartesian, how to say this in English? Like, like the kata, like the splitting sections of every discipline is very European, and that was transplanted to other places as well, including Brazil, including my education. So
I think there is something really important of what you're saying regarding to us coming from the background of art, and we need to more explore the music component. But the thing is that until now we are only three of us, like mainly circling around here, and maybe there is. Well, maybe we can invite somebody that is more into music or into working with sound and more experienced than us, and then maybe from that we can learn more, or ask on the forum with all those people that are member of this group, but not participating on the online discussion. Maybe ask them that we have this thing. We would like to extend our knowledge, or to get feedback, and to learn more about sound and music relating to art. And if there is somebody that can that contribute, and also make sure that they are coming to a meeting and participate in it. That will be, I think, an important step.
I have a question about wanting to learn more about music, but what exactly do you mean with more about? Because music is so broad. I mean, I can give you some books about like the theory behind some like music theory and then harmonic analysis, but they're very that's a lot.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, like maybe some stuff about I don't know. We have to definitely set a frame, but I'm thinking about. I don't. I also have some essays about electronic music, like the decaphonic music, composition,
Mm-hmm.
experimental music. Maybe that's more to
Oh yes, so I think,
what we're doing.
so I think that's what we are talking about. I like
Yeah.
let's take it one step at a time. But yeah, that's the I think that is one direction that we can go. Like attacking some subjects one at a time in terms of that relate to sound. Let's not say music because music is just like directly lead us to something. But let's find some relevant subjects or essays or discussions that we can extend our knowledge relating to sound and using sound.
Yeah, because I think that I'm sorry, yes, but I think that also like the idea of the studying group is that it doesn't finish here. Because it's not a lecture, I'm not in the position to give you guys a lecture, and I think that neither do you.
Mhm.
And I think that the point is like exchanging as much references as possible for us to learn our own.
Mhm.
So maybe maybe sometimes it can be that we're a bit unprepared to do stuff, but like we're in the learning process, so we have to also be patient with yourselves.
True.
Excellent.
Yeah. Of course, I'm open to calling someone to give a lecture eventually, but then like it's a lot of work as well. We have to think exactly what we're gonna do.
I have a friend who loves reading about like music analysis and stuff. So I'll ask him for some essays, and maybe he can come as well to
Okay.
participate. I don't think he's also in a position to give a lecture, but he certainly is in a position to discuss with us about some
Yeah, sure.
subjects. So
It sounds great.
yeah.
Sounds great. And I'll post a little bit about it's not about music or about sound or maybe it is. I should search about it, but James Torrell and maybe his relation to sound. But I'll let you know works by him and also I will post on my. I think this week I will post some related artists that working with sound on my Facebook page. So I will link and you can see a little bit more artists from my collection that I gathered. It's not that much, and I hope you will help me to. Well, I just started with 2 more artists now, but yeah. Relating to Rebecca, I encourage you to follow her work. She just lately, I think it was last year, she did a performance in the Ontario, the art, the Gallery of Ontario, and she did something with clay, I think, or.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I see it.
Work, and I would like to read more about it than I will. But I just remember the images, and when you introduced me to this essay, I say, "Oh yes, this is the artist that I really liked," and to know one more piece of her, that was a pleasure. So thank you.
I'm going to share the link on Slack because I have it open, I think.
Yeah, very good.
And it's very beautiful.
I also sent some like PDF files about psychoacoustics, and but very technical, like a technical PDF about how to make your own synthesizer.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's relevant, but
Of course.
anyway.
It may be relevant to some of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thanks.
Okay. I think that's all for today. Since no one also sent any ideas for new assignments, I think that me and Jens we can make a management call to organize all of the ideas from last meetings on the calendar. So
Yeah.
basically, we're going to put everything that we already discussed and just organize it in the calendar. And we will send news via Slack, and here we'll keep talking.
If there's Ram, if there's like, because I was searching James Durrell right now, and it looks very cool. So I'll get into
artist, yeah.
I'll look into him. But if you have like some interesting links or essays that he wrote or whatever, certainly share them.
Excellent. Yeah.
I have found it. Amazing.
I think one of the things that we can do, and I'm thinking about it right now, is maybe each one of us can think about one artist that's working with sound, and maybe not him or whatever, and do a 10-minute presentation about his work, which can be really interesting. Also, I saw a few sound artists, and I can talk about the experience that I had in their concert or in a session that I attended, or what do you think?
I think it's very good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we should do it for the next meeting. Like everybody will make like a 10-minute introduction to another artist that he maybe maybe we will do it to an artist that he experienced a work by him. Is it possible?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so we have the homework.
Yeah.
Great.
Excellent. So see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ram.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
How you doing?